Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is the dollar and also how Russia and America appear to be going to war. And if we did not have the prophecies from Leslie and also from Chris Reed that give us the things that lead up to the fall of America, the lead up to the Russians attacking us, I'd be saying right now, you better be looking for nuclear weapons on the horizon. Now, before we start, a couple of things I want to say. One is thank you. Thank you for sending information to us. You may be saying, wow, Stan, where do you find all this information? Well, most of it comes from you folks. So I do appreciate you sending me links and articles and things like that to askstan@prophecyclub.com. I would ask a favor, when you do send a video, you have to understand, if it's like a 5-minute video, okay. But if it's an hour-long video or even a 30-minute video, please send a time code and say, here's what I want you to see, and here's the time code. That way I can go right to it. Second thing I want to say is, we spent a lot of money advertising on YouTube to build up our channel on YouTube, only to have them cut our throat, to take us off. Now, yes, we do have a new channel, but I'm not even going to send you there. Instead, I'd prefer you to continue to watch us on one of the other platforms. And, of course, the easiest way would be through our app or go to prophecyclub.com. But point is, ever since they took us off of YouTube, the donations have really fallen. So if you love Prophecy Club, if God has blessed you and you can help us, now would be a really good time. And here's a 10-second overview of what happened. So we got a strike. 8 days later, we got another strike. One of the strikes was from a video that we placed 8 months ago. So obviously they were hunting for us. So at that, I just said, okay, we're not going to post anymore. So we didn't post for 62 days. Nothing, as you know. Yet, one day we turned it on and they had still taken the channel off because we violated some of their community. I probably shouldn't say the whole word. How can they take us off when we said nothing? Oh, well, maybe it's an old one. No. We went back and put roughly 90% of our videos all the way back to January on private. In other words, so that the people couldn't see them. So they did not find anything that we violated any of the rules. But, you don't have a redress of grievances. There's no one to say, hey, we want you to listen to our case because we were wrong. We were wronged, and we have no redress of grievances. And that's the way it is. Case closed. They have a little place there where you can click and write them a little letter and say, here's what I think if you feel like you were done wrong. And I've now sent them 6 letters basically saying we didn't violate your rules. How could we violate your rules when we didn't post anything? So I think we have a case, but who cares? So anyway, most of this information today comes from you. So thank you for sending it to us. Continue to send it to askstan@prophecyclub.com. And also, if you could remember us when it comes to your giving time, that would be real good. Let's talk about Joseph's Kitchen. I actually cooked this loaf of bread you're seeing here. Takes me about 10 minutes to put the ingredients together, put it into a bread machine, push a button, 2 hours, 20 minutes later, I get a loaf of bread out like that. Now, if you cut that loaf of bread that weighs about 3 pounds, the loaves you get in the store have most of the good stuff removed. The loaves you get in the store are about 1 pound. That's 3 pounds because it's got the good stuff still in it. Cut that into 14 slices, and if I eat a slice in the morning and the afternoon, I'm satisfied. So on that basis, one loaf can sustain, I didn't say it's everything we want, can sustain one person for a week. Based upon that, it'll get you excellent nutrition. It tastes good, long storage life, 10 minutes to combine the ingredients, 2 hours, 20 minutes to make it. Other wheat that you order arrives in paper bags, which means bugs, rice, humidity can get a hold of it and ruin it. But at Joseph's Kitchen, they send it out in 100 mil thick buckets. Gives you long shelf life. It's stackable. There's some nitrogen infuses that hopefully gives it much longer shelf life, kills bugs and things like that. Easily resealable. keep in a climate-controlled area. And they have it in stock. This is a picture, an actual picture of part of the warehouse. Here's another picture of these. Actually, each one of those boxes holds 2,500 pounds of wheat. And I think they've got 54 of those boxes, a bunch of them. So Joseph's Kitchen can ship it to you right now. You go to most of these places, they say out of stock. So here's what you want to do. Everybody needs to get a machine package. These are the things that you need to grind the wheat berries. Put them into a grinder. 30 seconds later, you have flour. You put that into the bread machine along with 6 other ingredients. Push about 2 hours, 20 minutes later, you have a nice hot loaf of whole wheat bread. Then you have to decide how much food you want. You want food 2 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 6 people 1 year. And if you want to make certain you have it when the electricity goes down, you can also get yourself a solar generator, all at josephskitchen.com. josephskitchen.com. Okay, so this comes from Bitcoin, and a lot of people ask me about Bitcoin, and it is not backed by any asset. So my understanding is it's not going into the new system. The only thing that's going into the quantum financial system is those things that are asset backed. So if that is true, I'm not telling you what to do with your money, not making financial recommendations. But if that's true, then Bitcoin is not going to be a part of it. So there you go. Headline says, Robert Kiyosaki, however you say that, says U.S. dollar is toast, citing Saudi Arabia's request to join BRICS. So he says South African president reportedly said during an interview with the South African Broadcasting Corporation Tuesday that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud has expressed kingdom's desire to be part of BRICS. Now, what does that mean? You recall we had Shane Warren on, and this was back in 2012. He made a DVD, and in that DVD, he said that he saw a vision, and he said that the dollar was worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. And he said what caused that is when they began to sell, specifically, Saudi Arabia begins to sell oil in another currency other than the dollar. So this is another step that is telling us that Saudi is walking away from America. Well, with good reason. With a guy like JB in the White House, who wants to support America. I think, sometimes I feel like I'm not listened to. I know you probably feel the same way trying to talk to your friends. But I want you to hear what I'm about to say. There is substantial evidence, and I'd have to count up the number of prophecies. I think it's like, I don't know. I think I've got it here at the end of the program. Like 14 different prophecies that says the dollar is going to fall. I think it was Cornerstone that says it falls to 60%, 66%, to 50%, then to like 30%, and finally it's worthless. They all say it becomes worthless. And what makes it worthless is when the Saudi Arabia begin to sell crude oil in something other than the dollar. Now, that is saying they're thinking about it, but there's more. It goes on to say, if Saudi Arabia joins BRICS, it will be another strategic blow to the American empire. BRICS Plus can launch a democratic and commodity-backed global currency to challenge the U.S. dollar. No, not challenge the U.S. dollar. They're being nice. Run a knife in the back of the American dollar and kill it. During the BRICS summit in July, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that the BRICS economies plan to issue a new global reserve currency. We've been talking about it, and it's going to be a digital currency. They may do some coins and paper on the way to it, but at the end of the day, it's going to be digital. How do you know that? Because Revelation 13 says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on the right hand or on the forehead. And that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. The only way you can do that is if you have control over every purchase on the planet. You remember, Henry Kissinger said, he who controls food controls the people. He who controls energy can control whole continents. He who controls money can control the world. That's their objective. Always keep in mind that the objective of the devil is to put his son, the Antichrist, the beast, on the throne, and in the middle of the tribulation, he's wounded to death, but his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast, and they gave power to the beast, which had power to give life unto the beast, and all of that sort of stuff. So he sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, meaning their objective is to put their man, the Antichrist, on the throne, at which time he is wounded to death. The Bible doesn't say whether he really dies or whether he appears to die. Either way, Lucifer, at that point, literally inhabits his body, possesses his body. Why? Because that's what he wants. He wants to sit on the sides of the north. He wants the worship God gets. Now, he's willing to take it by force. God only wants it if you offer it. So that's the objective. So when they're trying to bring in a new currency, understanding they're not trying to remove the bad guys. They're not going to remove the bad guys. It's the bad guys putting themselves in control of the global financial system. That's what's really going on. And probably we're going to start seeing, how do I say this? I got some information that I can't share with you, but there's a high probability it's weeks away, probably before the end of the year, and that's probably all I should say. In other words, we're about to see major changes in our finances, which, by the way, for that again, if you want gold and silver, I'll send you to Cornerstone, askstan.com. Terry Saka, good guy, Christian, prophecy student, he'll take care of you. Cornerstone, askstan.com. If you want to have food, I'll send you to josephkitchen.com, because most of these long-term storage food places are $9,000 or $10,000 to feed one person for a year. $9,000 or $10,000 to feed one person for 1 year. At Joseph Kitchen, they can show you how to do it for about $1,000 a person. What? They aren't 90%. They're not half the price. They're 90% less than everybody else. What this is saying is the dollar has seen its day. What made the dollar strong is when the Saudis asked America, when our military was strong, to protect them. And they made a deal. They said, all right, fine, we'll give you military protection, but you only sell your oil in dollar denominations, which made all of the other nations that wanted to buy Saudi oil, which is all of them, then have to buy a bunch of dollars, and then they transact in dollars. What's probably about to happen, we know, I don't know if I can say for certain that Saudi's about to start selling oil in another currency, but that's what this article's about to say. I also don't know for certain that they're going to stop selling Saudi oil in dollars and switch to another currency, be it the Yuan or be it the Russian ruble. I do not know that. But several articles are saying that's exactly what they're about to do now. Just as when Saudis required the world to purchase their oil in dollars, when they switched to either Yuan or the ruble, probably the Yuan, and this is what the article's about to say, our dollar is going to crash. The prophecies say almost overnight. One says literally overnight. One says over the weekend. Are you ready? Again, sometimes I feel like I'm not being listened to. And I know you talking to your family, your friends, sometimes you feel the same way too. But I want you to listen to this. I want you to get ready. Why? Because I don't want you biting your fingernails. I don't want you crawling up in a fetal position. I don't want you having sleepless nights because you're not prepared. Instead, when this trouble hits, instead of saying, doggone, we ought to say hot dog. We ought to be able to say, okay, now, finally, all of these negative pre-tribbers, all of these people don't want to hear about Jesus, now they want to hear. That'll be the time for us Christians, especially as prophecy students, to go to work. So we shouldn't look at the trouble necessarily in the bad way. Yeah. I love America. I want to see America grow and prosper and do well too. But that's not the objective of Jesus. What? No. The The objective of Jesus is to get as many people out of the pit of hellfire and brimstone into eternal life with him. His objective is not to see that some nation, be it America, does really, really well. His objective is to build his kingdom, not a kingdom on this earth. Remember when he was going through the trial, they said that if this was my kingdom, then I would call for the angels, and they would, my Father would send 10,000 legions of angels. It's not his kingdom. But when the seventh trumpet blows, then the kingdoms of this world become the kingdoms of our Lord his Christ. And he shall reign forever and ever, the Bible says. Okay, let's go on. The dollar will crash by January next year, and he's probably true. January next year, last month, he said the end of fake money is here. I agree. The renowned author previously explained that when Richard Nixon removed the U.S. dollar from the gold standard in 1971, the U.S. dollar became fake money. Who do you think did that? It wasn't just Nixon. Nixon had a rope around his neck and a knife at his back, and the Moloch and Baal worshippers were forcing him to do this. Why? Because they own and control most of the finances of the world. Let's go on. According to the report from CNN, a U.S. intelligence agency has assessed the Saudi Arab is now actively manufacturing its own ballistic missiles with the help of China. What? See, because America is no longer protecting the Saudis. Now the Saudis are doing it themselves, backed by China. So is that telling you whether it's going to be the ruble or the yuan that they're about to start selling oil in? Probably the yuan. A relationship that could lead to domino effects across Middle East countries. In other words, if the Saudis get nuclear weapons, Iran has to get nuclear weapons, and a lot of other Muslim countries. Saudi Arabia announced in March it was considering accepting the Chinese Yuan instead of the U.S. dollar in future transactions. There it is. Take just a second, pause, read that. Saudi Arabia announced in March it was considering. Hasn't done it yet, but we know that that's probably what's going to happen. Was considering accepting the Chinese Yuan instead of the U.S. dollar, instead of the U.S. In other words, they're not selling oil in U.S. dollars anymore. You can only buy it in Chinese Yuan. That would kill the dollar. Now, what does that mean? That means price of gas, not $5 a gallon, $10 a gallon, $15 a gallon. How high? I don't know. It will end U.S. dollar supremacy. Yep, it will. And it was facilitated by JB, Democrats, and the Uniparty members. Saudi Arabia is in talks with Beijing to price some of its oil sales to China in yuan. They're talking about it. You know, when you openly say this in news, it's what you call floating it. Floating a flag. Floating it to see what people will say. So if there's not a lot of backlash, then Saudi will go ahead and start selling the oil in yuan. Some of its oil sales to China in yuan, a move that would destroy the U.S. dollar's dominance of the global oil market. If priced in yuan, then it would boost the Chinese currency instead of the USD. It would be the death of the USD and a major blow to America around the world. Ambassador Washington has crossed all the red lines. America is doing everything it can to make the bear mad. See, these are the Moloch and Baal worshippers now in control of America that want to destroy America because America is the world's police officer. America is the wall that's keeping their man, the Antichrist, off of the throne. They know that. And as I said in the last 3 broadcasts, which I'd highly recommend you go back and watch them, I show you, according to Scripture, where America is destroyed by Russia, and then where America is finally destroyed by Jesus at his return. So it goes on to say they, meaning the Americans, have long crossed all the red lines. In other words, they have not been cooperative with Russia at all. They've done everything they can to make Russia angry at them. In this regard, the Russian envoy pointed to the Nord Stream incident. Quote, I strongly believe that it's not an individual or group that is behind this act of sabotage. What are they talking about? They're talking about the Nord Stream pipeline being blown up. They don't think that it was just some individual. An individual doesn't have the technology to do it. It was a government. It was not just any government. Not every government has the technological capabilities to do that. It had to be an advanced government. It had to be an advanced government that wanted to make the bear angry. And who would that be? I can't prove it, but my guess is America. Russian-American relations are at extremely bad shape. Yep, they are. The bear is getting angry, just like was told to Dmitry Duduman. Washington's rhetoric towards Russia hasn't changed. There is still only one goal, as far as Russia is concerned. America only has one goal: to pressure Russia, to impose new sanctions to demolish Russia. In other words, Russians think that everything that America is doing is to destroy Russia. What would you do? What would you do if you're a nation and there's another nation out there that's doing everything it can to destroy you? And you have nuclear weapons, and you have scalar wave, and you already know that you can take out anything on the land, in the air, on the sea, under the sea, any place on the globe, anytime you want to. You know that all of those American missiles, all of the planes, all of the cannot hit your country. You know that. Yet you have some of the most powerful, they say some 8,000 nuclear weapons Russians have. And there was a report out today that America has like less than 800. Yeah, I hope that's not true. That's another thing. The Lord showed me, I don't know how to tell you this. Yes, it was in the night because I was just laying asleep. But it wasn't really a dream. It wasn't really a vision. I don't know how to tell you this, but somehow I was made to know that scalar wave, which we already do know, can see right through land, right through seawater, right through fresh water. It can see right through the globe, which is, by the way, I think the scalar wave is how Russia found all of the mega amounts of natural gas and crude oil that they're now selling, because scalar wave can see right through it. I also think that that's how the Russians know where America has all of their nuclear weapons stored. Remember, Dmitry was told that the Russians know where the American missiles are stored, and that at the right time, they would first take out those missiles. They know where they are because they have scalar wave. It can see where it is. I think scalar wave can see diamonds and gold in the earth, exactly where it is. Silver, it can see every metal out there. All you got to do is just set it what metal you want to see, and it shows where it is. It is one of the most awesome weapons mankind has ever created. It came from Nikola Tesla. Moscow hospitals ordered to equip and stock operating rooms in bomb shelters. Why? Why? Well, why would you prepare bomb shelters? The answer is because you're expecting bombs to arrive. Now, I think Russia really believes that they can take them out. And I think they really can, according to a vision that Dmitry was shown. Nevertheless, it's still a good idea to have bomb shelters prepared, especially able to take care of the war wounded. And that's what they're talking about here. Now, what are the difference in these 3 loaves of bread? What's the difference? And I'm not trying to beat up on these other 2 competitors, okay? This is just your normal bread. This one here claims to be whole wheat bread. I do not believe it can be really whole wheat bread because whole wheat bread goes bad in 7 to 10 days. You can't put it into the store unless you put some kind of preservative in it. But what's the difference between these 3? Here's the answer. This one, this loaf of bread that I made, this one will last for 25 years. What? No, I'm not talking about in the loaf itself. This is what I'm talking about. When you order from Joseph Kitchen, which is the company that I helped start, it doesn't come in a paper bag that breaks, that mice can eat, that moisture ruins. Instead, it comes in a 7-gallon pail that is nitrogen infused. Now, we cannot guarantee that it's going to last 25 years plus, but I've got several emails from people say, oh, yeah, it will. Okay, in other words, the difference between these and this one is this one arrives in a pail like this that you don't have to refrigerate it. You can stick it over in your garage. I don't recommend you put it in a hot attic, but, some kind of reasonable climate-controlled area. And it's good for 25 years. You pull that out, you can still make yourself bread. Now, In order to do that, there's a couple of things you need. One is you need a machine package. In other words, these are the things that you need to make the bread. One is you need a grinder. This is where you take the berries, you put it inside, push a button, 30 seconds later you have flour. Next, you need a bread machine, unless you want to make it by hand, and I don't. Bread machine kneads it, lets it rise, it bakes it, all at the push of a button. Then, when you pull it out, it also includes a slicer and a knife even. Even the beakers, everything you need to make the wheat. And as a result of that, you get one of these. You get a nice loaf of bread, and this is one that I actually baked. Next thing you have to decide is how much food you want. And I hope you're not clicking away. This is important. Look, when you're starving, you're going to wish you to watch this. Most of the emergency long-term storage people out there, most of them cost anywhere from $9,000 to $10,000 for 1 year for one person. Let me say it again. $9,000 to $10,000 for one person in 1 year. Let me say it again. $9,000 to $10,000 per person per year. At Joseph Kitchen, they can show you how to do it for in the ballpark of around $1,000 a person. We're not talking half price. We're talking 90% under the prices of all the other competitors. And this is what Joseph and the Pharaoh lived off of for 7 years. The whole world lived off of wheat for 7 years. So what you have to decide then, do you want to get food for one person 1 year, 2 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 6 people 1 year? And when they send it to you, they send you everything you need. They send you the honey, the wheat, the lecithin, everything you need to make that much food for a year. You may be saying, yeah, but what happens if electricity goes off? Well, they got a solution for that. It's called a bread solar generator, and you can get one of those too. So, here's the best deal of the day. The best deal is to get the 6 for 1. 6 people 1 year, $3,400. That's about $600 per person a year. Not $9,000 or $10,000, about $600 per person per year for the actual food. Now, that doesn't include the mechanicals, but that's the actual food. If you do go to josephkitchen.com, if you'll use the promo code Prophecy Club, it'll get you a $50 discount. Prophecy Club, $50 discount. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is where I'll send you if you're thinking about getting gold or silver. I think everybody should have at least a fistful of gold and a fistful of silver, because there could be a time when you pull up to get gasoline and they might not want to take your loaf of bread, but you pull out a gold coin or a silver coin, and you're probably able to get anything you want, even if the credit cards are down, even if the dollars are worthless. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Next is, I'll send you to EMPShield.com. If you use the promo word prophecy, you get a $50 discount.